And now on News Channel 6 at 7, a nationwide push to pay it forward on this Giving Tuesday. Also tonight, the war of words between President Trump and some Georgia officials in his own party. Your news at 7 starts now.
WJBF News Channel 6 at 7.
And a hello again to you, everybody. I'm John Hart. We begin with Giving Tuesday, those nonprofit organizations here at home and across the country asking for your help to keep making a difference. Chloe Salsameda explains. And we have more on how you can help at WJBF.com. I've also got some ideas on my social media accounts. A local group that helps families while they get treated at the Joseph M. Still Burn Center also needs your help. We talked with one family whose son was injured in a crash in Mississippi while returning from college back in October. Asher Arendt suffered 3rd and 4th degree burns over more than 70% of his body. His mother and father are now staying at the Chavis house while he recovers. And Facebook will be matching each dollar donated to the Burn Foundation today only. We have that info for you as well at WJBF.com. Now, as always, whenever you are spending money, there are those who are going to try to scam you out of it. The Better Business Bureau says reading mission statements, researching finances, and double-checking names and websites are key if you are planning on giving money to a charity. Experts say they're expecting more online donations this year, of course, because of the amount of businesses that are struggling and because everything is virtual this year. Now, the BBB even has a service to search the name of the charity on their site. You can check the accreditation and whether or not any current scam complaints have been filed. All right, Tim, Augusta Fire Chief Chris James is resigning. He submitted his resignation today. It was approved by commissioners at their meeting this a little bit less than an hour ago. James had been fire chief, or has been fire chief, since 2022. Come under fire in recent months by the Augusta, or from the Augusta Professional Firefighters Association, which questioned his leadership. A needs assessment released 2 months ago said there is no chain of command in the department. James' resignation came after more than 4 hours worth of a legal session. So yeah, James will leave his job immediately, but he will still be on the city payroll until August 31st. We will obviously keep our eye on this story for you as it continues to develop. Just more than a day now for all counties in Georgia to complete their recount of those presidential ballots. Election officials are in high gear to finish the count as Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger continues to assure Georgians the election did not suffer any widespread voter fraud. His office says it began working on security measures well ahead of the November 3rd election and is now reminding you of the value of your vote ahead of the January 5th Senate runoffs. Again, Georgia state officials expect that recount to be done tomorrow. Today also marks the first day of voting statewide in those Senate runoff races, and Raffensperger says there have been no issues so far. Angry words from Georgia's voting implementation manager calling on the president and senators in his own party to condemn threats of violence that he says have been happening against some election workers. Gabriel Sterling says a 20-year-old contractor for Dominion, that's the company that supplies voting machines to Georgia, received a death threat over a video that is alleged to have shown him manipulating votes. Sterling says that did not happen, the manipulation part. He says he and the Secretary of State have also received threats over the election results.
That helped open the floodgates to this kind of crap.
Sterling says if leaders do not condemn the calls for violence, he is worried somebody might get hurt. After 4 years of contentious confirmations for many of President Trump's nominees, Republicans are about to get their turn. Kelly Meyer reports from our D.C. bureau. Enjoy it while it lasts, or whatever. If you think our government has issues, take a look at Parliament in Taiwan. Legislators from the main opposition party throwing, that's buckets of pig guts. And they then exchange punches with other lawmakers in Parliament. This all started with a bitter dispute over easing U.S. pork imports and, well, ended with a whole big mess. That's
a pigsty, if you ask me.
We haven't seen that in Washington yet.
No.
They tell you to get the pork out of politics. That's not exactly what they meant. I'll see you again at 10 over on MeTV. Tim and I both will, actually. We'll always with you, of course, at WJBF.com. Entertainment Tonight is next.
News Channel 6's John Hart joins us now from the scene. And John, what can you tell us?
Yeah, Dee, we are here in the Butler Creek neighborhood. For those of you who are not familiar with South Augusta, that's on Fennessy Road, just off of Mike Padgett Highway. Investigators say they got a call just after 9 o'clock tonight for a shooting here, and when they arrived, they say they found 2 victims shot. Those victims have been taken to the hospital, and that's pretty much all deputies can tell us at this time. We're still working to figure out the condition of those victims. We are also working to figure out if a suspect is in custody. But what we do know tonight is that 2 people have been shot here on Bridgeover Avenue right off of Mike Padgett Highway. If we get more information before the end of this newscast, we will of course pass it along. We will keep you updated all night long at WJBF.com and of course on Good Morning Augusta tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. For now, reporting live in South Augusta, John Hart, WJBF News Channel 6.
Well, get ready for the biggest battle in game show history. Jeopardy's top 3 winners will face off for...
Hannah B, definitely not one of Jeopardy's top 3 winners.
Oh, no, that's the wrong.
Yeah.
That's The Bachelor from last
Here
night.
we go.
Oh, there you go. It's going to be an ABC special season of The Greatest of All Time. Alums Ken Jennings, Brad Rutter, and James Holzhauer will compete in a series of matches with the great one, Alex Trebek. And the one who wins 3 of the matches will get a $1 million prize. The 2 other contestants will each get $250,000. Jeopardy, The Greatest of All Time, kicks off tonight on, on News Channel 6. Yeah, well, that's ABC at 8 o'clock. Yeah, I was like, wait a minute, because Jeopardy usually comes on somewhere else.
Yeah,
We're not going to say it.
With us, yeah.
We've
right.
got this.
Back to Hannah B now. So last season's Bachelorette basically broke this season's Bachelor's heart last year. So last night she reappeared on the season premiere to give Peter, this year's Bachelor, back his pilot wings. He gave those to her. There go the wings. He gave those to her last year. So she gave him back, wished him luck, yada, 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 right? But then, here's all the ladies, they're happy. She reappears to host the second group date. And at that point, all the ladies are like, okay, once was cool, second, what are you doing here? And then it all ends with this sit down, heart to heart, where Peter's like, what exactly are you doing back here? And it ended, that was the cliffhanger we were given. And of course, I've now lured you with some help from the newsroom into Bachelor Nation. So we end with this heart to heart where even Hannah B seems to be sort of, I don't know what I'm doing here. And of course, it didn't work out with the what's his name from last year that she picked.
Yeah.
Everybody who watched last year felt like those 2 had.
They did. They had great chemistry and
connection.
everything. But I would say to Peter, let's go back to the Bible. Do not turn back or you will turn into a pillar of salt, Peter. Do not look back. Go forward. He had some great women there, so he needs to move forward.
It's not a lot. This is Peter.
I know, but this is not Sarah, but this is Peter. But the example is don't turn and look back to the past. Look toward the future. Hannah had her chance. She picked the wrong one. That's on her.
There are lots of people who have married the wrong person.
And I
that
sure
went,
did.
That
I
went,
know
that went terribly,
but
and
I'm
then
not
got
gonna
back
turn
with
back.
their high school sweetheart and lived happily ever after.
I didn't have any high schools.
I'm just saying it happens.
Yeah. I guess I did, but he's married, so yeah. That's not going to happen.
Most importantly, before Kyra, our producer, has a heart attack, because I know we got to move along, but most importantly, for those who are like, it's all fake anyway, there are lots of people, lots of couples who have gotten married and had children
families.
off this show, so it ain't all fake.
What would you tell Peter? What advice would you give?
I hope he and Hannah end up together.
Really?
Yes. And I liked Kelly last night, but other than that, I wasn't impressed with anybody, and I hope he and Hannah end up together. I don't think it's going to happen.
Don't look back,
I think it's all drama.
Peter, do not look back.
We will find out.
You'll turn into a pillar of salt.
Next episode, Monday, 8 o'clock.
We don't drive a car backwards. We look forward.
Here we go.
All of your dreams have come true. Your wiener dreams have come true. Look at this next story now. You can now apply to be a hot dogger and see the country through the windshield of the Wienermobile. Oscar Mayer is hiring drivers for a 1-year assignment. The hot dog position is a full-time gig with benefits. The company is looking for graduating college seniors who could promote the brand on social media. The Wienermobile has become an American icon for more than 80 years, and you can't miss it when it's in your city. It was here, and it was pretty cool. So if you can cut the mustard, the position might be right for you. Just have to play a little catch-up because other people have already been
Well, you could have written some of those airplane pilot references in Bachelor last night. New year, new Oreo flavors, caramel, coconut, and chocolate marshmallow, 2 of the newest additions to the cookie company. You can get them in grocery stores now. The chocolate marshmallow Oreos have marshmallow pieces in the cookie, the marshmallow cream in the filling, caramel coconut coconut Oreos feature coconut flavor cream with coconut pieces. I'll just stick with the original.
Yeah,
if it's
I'm
all
on
the
this
same.
14-day sugar detox, and this is what we do. We promote sweets.
There you go.
Now,
all right, Georgia
now
Forecast.
I'll just drink my sugarless, creamless coffee.
Georgia's after this. It's as routine as starting the car. Directions to 1001 Reynolds Street. Plugging your destination into your GPS.
Starting route to 1001 Reynolds Street.
But is saving minutes off your trip taking years off your brain?
What we need to recognize is that, okay, this is affecting us in ways that we hadn't thought of before.
Dr. Alexandra Roach is a professor of psychology at USC Aiken.
If we're not doing things to help build the gray matter in our brain by challenging ourselves cognitively, then we're not really providing that base, that scaffolding that's going to help us in the long run.
A British study found that when we start a trip, our brain naturally maps out a route.
Turn right onto Marks Church Road, then turn right onto I-20 East.
But when we use our GPS, the brain doesn't do this. And over time, that can become a problem.
Do you lose the abilities if you no longer practice them? And that's definitely going to be true.
Dr. David Blake is a neuroscientist at the Medical College of Georgia at Georgia Regents University.
Will that have some sort of overall decline in cognitive ability as you age? And we know that within that one little milieu of cognitive ability, you will decrease.
In other words, the more you use your GPS or your list of contacts, the more you'll lose the ability to read a map or remember a phone number.
Keep right on I-20 East toward Columbia.
We need to start looking at this as something that really is affecting us. There is this environmental impact on our brains, and using this technology.
The two parts of the brain most involved with our ability to find our way to a destination are also two of the first to be damaged in age-related dementia. A Canadian study found that over-relying on our GPS can lead to underusing these parts of the brain.
Absolutely, there's a use it or lose it component to the brain.
However,
one realm of cognition is not going to have a huge impact on something like decline into dementia, but rather it's really the full range of domains.
Turn left onto River Watch Parkway.
Just because we're relying on our GPS and we're not paying attention to our surroundings doesn't mean our hippocampus is going to atrophy. We just need to make sure that we're stimulating our brains in other ways.
We do need to be cautious about the introduced new use of technology. Like I said, it's a wonderful new set of tools, but it has pros and cons.
It'll be interesting to see. We won't know, as I said, for decades what the actual effects of all this are.
Arrive. Turn right onto Wheeler Road.
okay, so using your GPS won't necessarily lead you to early onset dementia, but it can definitely be a factor.
One realm of cognition is not going to have a huge impact on something like decline into dementia, but rather it's really the full range of domains.
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Snapchat, Vine. And what are we doing while we're looking at all this stuff?
A lot of this multimedia tasking by its nature is a sedentary activity.
Dr. Alexandra Roach is a professor of psychology at USC Aiken. She spent the last 6 years studying the effects of all this sitting around on the aging of the brain.
What I find most disturbing is this increase in obesity. And the long-term ramifications of that, we know that already. And so that's one thing that we could focus on now, knowing the outcome.
Long story short, sitting around packs on the pounds, which leads to obesity. Obesity is the #1 cause of diabetes, and
if you have diabetes, you're more likely to convert from mild cognitive impairment to Alzheimer's disease and dementia. So that is something that I think we can focus on as an issue that we really know how that could play out.
And all these devices seem to be stressing us out. A recent Sussex University study showed that people who routinely stare at more than one screen at a time show increased risk of depression and emotional problems.
We know there are certain forms of stress that are associated with internet use, especially constant availability stresses.
Research also shows stress leads to increased levels of cortisol, a hormone released by the adrenal gland. Cortisol can lead to obesity, and obesity leads to, well, I think you know the rest.
We're increasing their risk for vascular risk factors such as diabetes, hypertension, and these have been shown in adults to have effects on cognitive aging.
Simply put, the best way to keep your smartphone from making you dumber?
You want to stay in shape, you want to stay thin, and you want to use your brain on a regular basis over a wide range of cognitive domains.
It should just serve as a motivating factor for maybe reassessing how we interact with technology in our lives, so that we can make sure that we're not putting ourselves at a disadvantage for later.